קשר צר מאוד, כל העולם הוא קשר צר, כל העולם כולו קשר צר מאוד, כל העולם הוא קשר As I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not be afraid, knowing you are with me. As I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not fear, knowing you are near.
Good evening, everybody. It's so beautiful to be with all of you. As the world around us is in some way holding its breath, we've come together to breathe together. I see my dear friend Yiska, who knows what it is, a thing or two about what it is to breathe through painful births in her profound way. When was there with us when one of our kids was being born, and with so many other little people. So we're in a birthing moment now, and in so many ways there's something here about waiting and about knowing that that there's a kind of anxiety, of course, in waiting. But that's the idea of Emunah, which of course is connected to mothering, right? It's Emunah, mother, compassion, and holding, a space for holding and for whatever it is that's arising. And so we're here, and so it's such a bracha to be with Rabbi Diane Koloresis and with Rabbi Scott Perlow and with Maya Zinko and with our team behind. And I know that Chazan Basia was supposed to be with us, and we hope everything is okay with her. But we're here together. We're in this space together. And and I also want to add that there are a lot of you who have been out doing the work today. Rabbi Koloresis was out in Pennsylvania today and watching over, and you were watching over like an angel, which is so important. And so many others. I know Rabbi Rivera was out today as well, and she'll be with us a little bit later in the evening. But tonight's the next hour, almost 2 hours, is dedicated to Emunatcha Balelot, this strange phrase from Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat, where we say L'hagid b'boker chasdecha, that in the morning we'll tell the tale of your love, and also of your Emunah, your faith, by the night. And one of the Hasidic masters once asked, it really should say ve'emunatenu, our faith in the night. Why do we say, God, your faith, ve'emunatcha, your faith in the night? And he answered, because, God, as it were, has faith in us, faith in our ability to rise to the moment, has faith in us, as it were, to be deployed for the sake of the planet, to be deployed for the sake of our community members. We are the ones in whom God has faith. And so we're here to rest in that too, to rest in the faith that comes from our power, our strength, and our collective strength, our collective capacities. So there has a bit of a feel to it tonight of Yom Kippur, right? A little bit of a feel of there's a Sifrei Chaim v'Sifrei Mesim, Psuchim, that the books are open, the ledgers are open, the fate of so much is resting on the next couple of hours. And here we are in davening. Here we are in a place of prayer, in a place of reflection, a place of gathering strength, gathering oaths, so that we might be able to touch that emunah, that faith that we have that strength, and that we have the ability to split the night. And splitting the night is what it's all about, because chasot, midnight, means the splitting. It's the place the arrows point, the chetz. And so we pray for a splitting of the night on many levels, on many levels. All the different nights, as it were, that we have endured and that others around us continue to endure. And so we pray for that light also to come in. The Kabbalists had a practice. The Kabbalists had a practice that which they call tikkun chatzot, staying up late at night to cry over the destruction of the temple. It became a very popular practice amongst Kabbalists. Tikkun chatzot, right? The rectification of midnight and what happens after midnight. And in our tradition, of course, redemption happens in the night. Right? The night is split like the sea is split for us to leave our collective Mitzrayim, our constriction. And so not only are we gathering faith, not only are we reminding ourselves of our faith in one another and in ourselves, but also we're here to say, Kumironi balayla. Like let's sing, let's sing together in the night, and hope that our prayers can give us strength and can give us an opening as well. So I want to ask you, friends, maybe to close your eyes for a second as we settle in, and just find out where you are in the body. Just feel the seed beneath you, holding you at this moment. Just feel the emunah, the holding. The sense of trust that comes with each breath. As we release it, trusting that it will come back. And faith in gravity, faith in all of our assumptions about what holds us at this moment. We have faith and we are held. We have faith and we are held. And as your breath deepens and as you locate, where you are, how you feel in this moment, see with each moment that passes if your body can settle a little bit more, even as it stays alert, not collapsing, but just releasing and letting the chair, the sofa, the ground beneath it hold you with each exhale. da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee da na na. Hi na na na. Hi na na. Dee da na na. Hi da na na. Dee da na na. Hi da na na. Dee da na. Dee da na. Lie, 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 lie. Dee da na na. Oh, lie, lie, down. Shivchi chamayim, chamayim libech. Nochach b'nei Hashem. Shivchi chamayim, chamayim libech. Nochach b'nei Hashem. Ay, ay, ay. Dee-dee-da, ya-da-ya-da. Hey, na, da, da. Ay, ay, ay. Dee-dee-da-da, ya-da-ya-da. Hey, da, da, da. Dee-dee-da, ya-da. Dee-dee-da-da-da. Dee-dee-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Dee-dee-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Dee-dee-da-da-da-da-da.
Ya'ale Tachanunenu Yavo
Every Yom Kippur, I come to this moment, this prayer that opens up, this poem that opens up Kol Nidre, the roller coaster of Yom Kippur, up and down and back up again. The whole thing is built off of 3 words that repeat over and over and over again. Ya'ale yavo v'yira'eh. Ya'ale v'yavo v'yira'eh. Arise, come, and see. Let it rise, let it come, and let it see. And the way that the poem is structured is it starts in the evening and then moves to the morning and then gets to the evening again. And so if you've been part of Yom Kippur, and so many of us have, you know that trajectory. The way that on Kol Nidre you can feel your soul sort of clicking up to the top of the roller coaster before it lets go. Will the tshuva be right this year? Or the prayers go high this year? Will God hear us this year? I remember David said it with Ne'ilah, and it was so true. For me, it's always true. There's a moment every Yom Kippur where the bottom of my stomach drops out. And what I think to myself is, did it work? Did I find the thing? Did the key fit in the lock and the door open? Did it happen this year? And the reason that that question matters so much is because what we do is not a matter of magic, but of magical relationship. We don't pray because it hits the right buttons on the laptop keyboard up above, sending back down to us through WhatsApp or through email or through SMS the message that we need to hear. It's not certain. In fact, the whole experience of the deep spirituality of a Day of Atonement is the seed of uncertainty that sits in our hearts that pushes us to ask, have I done right? Do I stand right? Will I be seen right? And so Yom Kippur for me is a kind of a roller coaster. From the evening to the morning, back to the evening again. I remember an evening 4 years ago when I stood, honestly, without much uncertainty in my heart. And then as I watched the screen flicker and change in front of me, the numbers rise and the numbers come. And what was revealed in front of us was actually opened a hole in my heart. And the thing that I have to say to you, and I know that it's, as we're sort of tied in, so many of us are mainlining what the internet is showing us right now. And there are moments in which slivers of ice go into your veins, when you're looking online and you're refreshing and you're refreshing and you're refreshing, and yet there is never a moment in which you feel refreshed. Right, that I felt that roller coaster, that sort of Yom Kippur colossus of a ride begin again. And the reason that the chasm opened in me was not so much because of who sat in the Oval Office, but what was sitting in the minds and hearts of the people in this country. Hate and fear, anger and distance. It is very difficult to have a loving relationship with God when sometimes the answer to our most heartfelt pleas, to the thing that we pray with the entirety of our righteousness, is no. And so we sit in this moment with the scales weighing back and forth in a moment of perfect discomfort. Ya'aleh, our prayers rise for the results that we want, for the country in which we believe, for the righteousness and we seek. Yavo, and they go where they may. V'yira'at, and we wait for the results to be seen. And I bring this up because, not to rub in the difficulty of our moment, not, God forbid, to poke at wounds. But if you look up and down, left and right on your Zoom call, what you see are brothers and sisters, siblings of all sorts, who are waiting by your side for what will be seen in the days to come. I wish with all my heart that someone could stand up and promise us that the binding of our wounds, the healer of our hearts, will show up in this moment, right here, right now. But you know, on this roller coaster that none of us much wanted to get on, and that there are people riding it with you that you love, who see you, who rise and fall with you, who come to you. And so, as we sort of start into Mariv proper, I want to offer you the complicated blessing of Yahweh.
Chevra, our community, I'm so happy and touched to see your faces tonight. I just spent 2 days in Pennsylvania canvassing and serving as a poll greeter. And as we approach this moment of Baruch Hu, this moment of community and connection between us, I wanted to reflect on a couple of moments of disconnection in human community and connection. So today, and then I want to reflect on what it means to stand in a minyan and teach a little bit about that. Today, serving as a poll greeter, I went around with a friend of mine, my teammate, and we gave people information so that they could vote successfully. Now, some people saw that we were wearing buttons or t-shirts and that we were with the Biden campaign. And what we witnessed was a lot of rage, right? A lot of people felt threatened or uncomfortable, angry, thought we didn't have a right to walk around. And all we were doing is giving information to people. And legally, we can do that within 10 feet of the polls. As I did that, as I walked around and gave out information and talked to people, a sense of profound sadness came over me, a sense of real disconnection. We did our best to meet the anger with kindness, but it was difficult. Then we realized we had another role, a role that brought me such great joy. And what happened is that we noticed on this line in the Poconos, right, in rural Pennsylvania, that there were all kinds of people who couldn't really wait in line for 2 hours. They were standing on canes, they were standing with canes, they were limping, they had wheelchairs, they were clearly in one way or another disabled. So we started taking them to the head of the line. And that was so gratifying to me, just caring for people in that way. And then what happened was amazing. People suddenly started coming to us, people of all colors and stripes and all parties, and said, oh, that person needs to go to the head of the line. Oh, there's a person with a cane. And everybody started doing the work. And that's when I felt like God was present, not until that moment. So I want to talk a little bit about the derivation of minyan. So there's a few, in rabbinic literature, there are a few different understandings of where this idea comes from, of minyan being 10 people standing together in holiness and bearing witness in prayer. And one of the prime verses, it comes from Psalms 82, and it says, Elohim nitzav ba'adat el. God will stand in the congregation of El, or God. What a weird, strange verse, okay? So somehow the Talmud in Masechet Brachot says that the word Edah means that if 10 people pray together, and then it was men, and now in our context and community, it's not, it's 10 people. If 10 people pray together, the divine presence is with them. And what's interesting is that word Edah is also used in the story of the spies for precisely the 10 spies that did not bear witness to God's faith and power. So that every time we pray and we gather together as a community, we're doing a tikkun, a fixing on that story of lack of faith. So now I want to ask the question of, what does it mean to bear witness to God's power in community? What does it mean to connect to each other so profoundly that the divine presence stands with us? And I invite you, just for a moment before the Baruch Hu, to close your eyes if you're willing and if you're comfortable, and to imagine that at this moment, that a human community stands linked beyond the divisions and the polarizations and the hatred that we find ourselves in. And if you could just close your eyes for a moment, just for a minute, and feel that connection to every human being who stands or sits or lays down or is on their way and breathes their breath, their divine breath, and somehow feel that as we go into the Baruch Hu, we are part of a powerful, profound minyan that somehow will be restored to this country, to this world, so God could stand in our midst. I invite you to stand for the Baruch Hu.
Hamevorach leolam vahem.
How often do we need to be reminded? How often? How often do you need to be reminded? How often do you need to be reminded that Ahavat Olam, that there is a great love, or that the night will turn to day and day will turn to night? How often? So morning and evening, 7 days a week, before we go to bed, and when we wake up in the morning, we say, we are loved. Ahavat Olam. Because when we have a sense of that, it can let us drop into, like it can let us just drop in, right? It can let us just take a deep breath and take even a taste of that love. Because it's not information, yeah? When a child says, I love you, Abba, or I say I love you to one of my kids, it's not new information. They say, I know, Abba, I know you love me. I say, I'm not telling you because you didn't know. I'm telling you because sometimes I think you forget. And so, when we're davening, all of davening is a kind of reminder. Davening is a kind of tzitzit. It's a kind of way of looking at words and feeling states and saying, yeah, right now. Even now, even now, even now. There's an avat olam that you can drop into. There's a woman in our community who passed away 2 days ago. She was a remarkable person, a fighter. Her name was Devorah Stoll. And she was at Romemu for a little while. And whenever those who know Devorah, when you hear her name, you see her, you think, fighter, tough one, right? She was pretty amazing. And she had a sweet spot for a prayer, a translation of a psalm from my teacher, from Reb Zalman. And when I was in the Shmira room, Neely read this to Devorah's soul. Yah, you are my light, and you are my savior. Whom need I dread? Yah, with you as my strong protector, who can make me panic? When hateful bullies gang up on me, wanting to harass me, to oppress and terrorize me, they are the ones who stumble and fall. Only one thing do I ask of you, Yah. Just this alone do I seek. I want to be at home with you, Yah, all the days of my life. I want to delight in seeing you when I come to visit you. Please hide me in your sukkah. Hold me unseen in your tent, and raise me beyond anyone's reach. Listen, Yah, to the sound of my cry, and being kind, answer me. My heart has said, I turn to seek you. Your presence is what I beg for. Don't hide your face from me. You have always been my helper. God, my support. Even when father and mother have left me, you, Yah, you have held me securely. Please teach me your way and guide me on the straight path. And guide me on that straight path. If I had not hoped that I would yet see your goodness fully alive on the earth. So friend, you too hope to God. Hope to Yah. Be strong. And most of all, keep hoping to Yah. Avat Olam.
taught us well, taught us your laws, taught us your rights from wrongs. Let that teaching be a prayer tonight, tonight, tonight. Let that love, let that love, let that love, let that love, let that truth, let that truth, let that truth, let that truth, let that wisdom come down in right action. Traditions, can we contemplate your truths, contemplate your truths, contemplate your truths, and your love as a prayer, as a prayer, as a prayer. We hold your love as a prayer, as a prayer. Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo, Israel, with love, love. Let us feel your love. Let us know your love.
Between the eternal love of God loving us and the command to love, we are asked to listen. Shema Yisrael. Listen, O Israel. The Hasidic master, Simcha Bunim, this 19th century Hasidic master, tells us that this month, Mar Cheshvan, is not, as some people think, the month of bitterness, but it's the month of the whisper, of listening to whispers, Mirachesh. So at this moment, I want to ask us not exactly what do we want to say, but what whispers are we hearing? What whispers are we listening to? And what are we hearing that's born of this love sandwich, the love sandwich of being beloved by the divine all and being required to love? So we're going to take some minutes to hear your voices, And I'm asking you, what whispers are you hearing at this moment? And not whispers from the news, again, but the deeper whispers that are coming from community and presence and the spirit of this moment. Open up the floor to you. You can raise your hand in the chat and we will take a few minutes and hear your voices. And hopefully not my dogs barking. Okay. Okay, I don't see anyone raising their hand yet. I know it takes a minute or more to kind of hear what's coming up at this moment. Clergy is also invited if they want to speak into this room, into this holy community. Judy Fleischman has her hand up. And I think she's unmuted. Judy?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi. I actually live in California.
Welcome.
Thank you. Where the polls haven't closed yet. So I think in that way, the whisper that I'm hearing or that I'm feeling as a heartbeat is that we beat together, and I feel like that's the anchor that I need to stay in, and why it's so important to be together tonight, because that heartbeat includes pain and anxiety and hope and something that has to be larger than whatever this outcome will be, but just that the heartbeat will continue and that will deepen in being able to love within including all of that, whatever happens, so that there's a kind of buoyancy amid the waves. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Judy, that is so beautiful and such a beautiful image to sort of raise us up to some strength. Thank you. Mark, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Good evening. So I read sacred texts in lots of traditions, and I read this devotional every day. You probably, I don't know whether you see it backwards. It's keep it simple. It's sort of a 12-step manual. And today's November 3rd teaching, the prayer that goes with it, and this has been on my mind all day, so this feels very apt. Higher power, teach me to slow down, teach me to listen, teach me to hear your whispers. And when I read that this morning, I was thinking of what we were singing last year during the high holidays, the prayer from the Hebrew Kol Damamat Daka, and that was just sort of in my heart all day.
So that still silent voice, and you're hearing that whisper. And I love how that text that you just read us like riffs off the question. Thank you, Mark. So perfect. Basya, Chazan Basya.
I'll say a few words. I think for me right now, it's definitely my child, like Sadia, and his pure force of nature. And there was something that happened this morning at school. He went to school, and a friend of mine who had his kid in babysitting hold, his babysitter disappeared, and he needed to put him back in school. And his kid is a little bit delayed in talking and all that stuff. And he was like so worried for his child. And he said, make sure maybe tomorrow tell Sadia to play with my son. Could you make sure that, and then apparently my friend told me that Sadia did was took his hand as soon as he came into the class and held his hand all day long so that he wouldn't feel, without me telling him anything, just to make him feel good. So much so that the teacher had to say, let him be. Let him be. But I think the whispering that I'm hearing is when I see kids come from this, like, I see the other side too. Trust me, because he has a whole other side. I understand. Trust me, it's like a different thing. But this is also part of like this pure desire, just like the people who are in your line, who are just desiring to like be with people who are feeling less, less strong, less able, less, less present, less connected. It's like, how do we really just listen to that whisper of the nature to be of service and of help and of love to those that need it? And I see it so in these little like places with my son. And so that's where I hear the whispers.
Thank you, Chazan Dacia. That's such a beautiful whisper. May it be so. Any other listenings, whisperings, hearings? We can all listen to the whispering silence for a moment and see if anything comes up. Beverly Pincus.
Hi. First of all, thank you for doing this. I'm really happy that we're together. So since the summer, I've had really the privilege of being on a small group, a steering committee that's putting together a social action committee at Romemu. And there's a couple of people I see tonight who are on this. Eden is on it and Carol is on it. And we have some other really wonderful people who are not with us on this call, but really doing tremendous work. The co-chairs are Tal Siegel and Lauren Jacobs. And we've been really, we launched a soup kitchen that had its first, the first time last month of giving out food. And we have some other really wonderful and amazing initiatives planned. And it really helps me when I feel despair to feel like I'm doing something, I'm taking some action. And last night we meet on Mondays, and at the very end, I led a little reflection, meditation about this, what was coming up today. And somebody shared something that really stayed with me, and I was asking people to talk about, I was using a meditation that I had heard from Rabbi Mark Margolis from the Institute for Jewish Spirituality about how tzedek, justice, has to come from the midot, the soul qualities of hodaya, of gratitude. I'm going to mess up the language, zirizut, netzach, like action and endurance, and that you have to put those two together to get justice. And I was asking people to reflect about how they were going to hold those two things, the need to action and change the world, and also accept what is. And somebody said something so beautiful and said, no matter what the outcome of this election, we're not going to stop doing this work towards justice. Because even if Biden wins, there's still going to be a lot of work to do. And so it really stuck with me today that no matter what, we're still going to be, walking in this path towards taking action for Tikkun Olam. And that's my whisper.
Thank you. Thank you, Beverly. That feels like a whisper and a charge. And I love that word zrizut that you evoked. And it very much relates to the song that Maya introduced us to on Shabbat, the Get Up and Go song. Right? Keep on going song.
Keep going on. First, we have to get up. We have to get up before we can keep going on, I guess, Rabbi Dan.
That's the Zrizut song.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole song for it. Maybe we'll sing it later. I think any more whispers in this room? I think we're complete. Thank you for your amazing voices. I know they will help me get through. And now on to the Shema with Basia.
You know, in the Talmud, it speaks about whispers. In Masechet Tanit, it says that the generation that loses the ability to whisper is a generation without Torah. The holy whispers that we need right now. The fact that some voices are so loud and ringing in our ears. So hard to look at the computer screen, so hard to see the way that the colors line up with one another. So hard to remember where we've been in this past year. But on the street, in your homes, online, with loved ones, have you heard the whispers of righteousness and of justice? People whispering compassion. Nachamu, nachamu. Shalom, shalom, lerachok ulekarov. Peace, peace to those who are far and near. And remember that peace from afar comes before peace that is near in the verse. To remind us that whispers have a way of gaining over time. This is the moment where we stand at the sea. And the sea was a terrifying place. Hemmed in on two sides by mountains. Pharaoh's army at our back. The waters facing us. So many of us know the legend of Nachshon ben Amminadab, who jumps in and the waters come up to his neck. In fact, the Micha Mocha prayer has within it this sort of stuttering, mumbling, gurgling sound that Nachshon made as the water entered his throat as he started to pray. Micha Mocha. Can you hear it in the back of his throat, the way that he's holding his head above the waters? But by the time he gets to the second, it's Mika Mocha. Strength and air and spaciousness. So what I want to say is that this moment of Micha Mocha, the moment at the sea, is the true moment of Emunah. The Hebrew word for faith. Do you experience the idea of faith as the necessity of believing in a creed? That's not what Emunah means. Related to the word amen. To exercise in Hebrew is lehitamein, to become strong. Emunah is a measure of strength in what we believe. How strong it was to stand in the sea with the water up at your neck and actually to think only of the ground and of the sky, of the earth and of the heavens, like Nachshon did. How many of our ancestors have been caught in the desert with the water in front of them and still stepped forward? How many heard the Amen ringing in their ears of Emunah? As if you took a giant mallet and hit one of those beautiful bronze bells, where the sound ricochets from wall to wall through a hall, pressing against your eardrums with the strength of the Amen. As if your heart was poured into sound and external force that leapt across a room, across the world. Amen, amen, amen. That's Emunah. I can feel the water, and the water is cold. I stand at the edge, and I feel pressed from my back, hemmed in from my sides, uncertain to my future. But the secret of the Emunah in this moment is to stretch beyond this particular moment, back into the past, forward into the future. To be part of spiritual Judaism is to become a master of time and to learn that in every moment there was a history and a future. And so what I want to ask you to do for a moment is actually, if you can, to move yourself into meditation space. The space that Reb David opened us up to. If you can, take those deep breaths and bring yourself back to wherever you're carrying the emotions that you're feeling in your body right now. And to breathe. Where do you feel it? In the pit of your stomach, in the set of your shoulders, in your throat. A breath in. And a breath out. Where do you stand? In the desert or in the water, pinned between the mountains, or on spacious plains? I invite you to breathe in and to breathe out. When are you right now? In the small sliver of time between November 3rd and November 4th, and Mar Cheshvan, an invitation to breathe in and breathe out. My friends, however you feel, wherever you are, whenever you are, I ask as you keep breathing, with each inhale and exhale, to stretch back to the ancestors, back to the generations that whisper and murmur in your ears. Old photos and soulful eyes, and dark clothes and daguerreotypes that took hours to make. Paintings and before paintings words. Can you reach back to the strength of the generations, to the zchut imahot va'avot, to the merit of the ancestors, whose amens, whether soft or loud, echoed throughout the decades and the centuries. Do you know that you don't only just live now, but centuries before? People who have seen so much, do you hear the amens of the Jews? Do you hear the amens of all the righteous ancestors? And as you continue to breathe, can you stretch forward into a future? Not a future of this election or even this year, but of 5 years and 10 years. Of children who become grown and grandchildren who grow. To spirits and hearts burning as God uses them as light, with faith and with strength. Can you stretch yourself past the now? And with one hand on the past and one hand stretching towards the future, breathe and let yourself reach up towards heaven. Breathe and let your feet hit the earth. Can you stretch beyond the anxiety of the now? Can you hear it? Amen. Ve'amen. 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 Hashkivenu.
Before we move into our liturgy, I want to share a poem that I think encapsulates that dance between anxiety of now and opportunity of tomorrow that Rabbi Perlo just so beautifully brought us through, bringing us back to nighttime, bringing us back to Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros alinu sukat shlomecha, v'takninu be'etza tova milfanecha. Lie us down to peace. Raise us up to life tomorrow when we wake up. This is a poem called The Sick Child by Robert Louis Stevenson, and it speaks in two voices, the voice of a child and the voice of a mother. Child says, "Oh, mother, lay your hand on my brow. Oh, mother, mother, where am I now? Why is the room so gaunt and great? Why am I lying awake so late?" Mother says, "Fear not at all, the night is still. Nothing is here that means you ill. Nothing but lamps the whole town through, and never a child awake but you." Child says, "Mother, mother, speak low in my ear. Some of the things are so great and near. Some are so small and far away. I have a fear that I cannot say. What have I done and what do I fear? And why are you crying, mother dear?" Mother says, "Out in the city, sounds begin. Thank the kind God, the carts come in. An hour or two more, and God is so kind. The day shall be blue in the window blind. Then shall my child go sweetly asleep and dream of the birds and the hills of sheep." Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha v'taknenu beitza tova milfanecha v'hoshienu. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha v'taknenu beitza tova milfanecha v'hoshienu. V'hoshienu, v'hoshienu, v'hoshienu.
That was so beautiful, Maya. We have so many amazing teachers on this call. And I want to dig deep in this moment. And so I'm going to ask my fellow clergy members, and then maybe if it's okay, you let me know, Rabbi Diane, maybe some other people can join too. But my friends, what are you saying to the Abishur at the moment? The Amidah, the prayer, Hatfilah. The essence of it teaches the Gemara is that a person should be Bayrachme. They should ask for compassion. And so I'm asking you, for what are you asking? In this crazy liminal space, in this Schrodinger's cat of a moment, when you stand before the Kadosh Baruch Hu right now, what are you asking? Abanan, does anyone feel like they can volunteer to go first to start off our conversation?
I have a thought in response to your question, Rabbi Scott, and thank you for opening up this conversation. I early on in the pandemic, I don't remember the name of this emergency room doctor, but I read an article about a doctor who was just struggling with all the sick people that were just coming through and his ability and inability to help. And he used a phrase that has stuck with me since then. He said, no matter what the mandate was, to care for what is there. And I'm carrying that with me. And I feel like no matter what, like Jews and other people throughout the ages, no matter what the oppression, no matter who the administration, no matter what the violence, I pray, I ask that each of us can care for what is there, for what is before us, for what is hurting, for what cries out for help.
Amen.
Amen.
For me, it's really one word that means so much, which is patience. Praying for patience, asking for patience for myself and for us all.
Thanks, Maya. Rabbi Mira, Chazan Basia.
I ask for kindness. I raise my fist and I actually say, I want some kindness. Hareini hasdecha. Like, show us, show me, show us your kindness. In Psalm 85, it says, I can hear the redemption that's knocking, like prophetic knocking. It's going to come to pass. It's going to come to pass. It's achkarov, almost near. It's so near. So near for those who are in awe. The promise of kindness and truth, almost meeting, but it's like almost, always almost. At any time in history, people can act in truth. And, we wait for this kindness. May I have that peace of that peace in your Torah. I'm tired pleading, just like show me, show it. Like I feel very much like, just shaking my fist. They say, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, pursue peace. I don't know, are we steeped in peace? They say we have to walk for justice. We have to pursue peace. So that's all I can say. It's like, show it to me. Show it to me. Show us your kindness. I can hear it. It's there. דיברתי.
Amen v'amen.
Manu. Chazak.
I think that I pray for surrender on the one hand, this ability to not give up the fight, but to melt into the way the world is, and know the one little piece that I am a part of the machinery of this crazy world, like to know what piece of me fits into the machinery of the world and has to make the world go in the way that it needs to go with my part. And I think I sometimes, I don't always know that thing, and I think I pray that all of us, that we just know how we can be that best self that makes other people their best selves, and allows goodness, allows truth, allows a perspective of the world that is not super skewed and opposite. I feel like, instead of like living into the words that that we're hearing, that would be great if they were true, to kind of create a truth that's real and complex, and to know what we have to give to that voice of truth.
I want to ask God why we are so damn complicated. I as humans, I'm so taken by this image of the idea that in Hasidus that the heart has two sides. There's the animal side and there's the heavenly side. And the truth is that in my sort of way of understanding it is that, in traditional Hasidus, obviously it's the heavenly side that you're supposed to go for, and the animal side you're supposed to leave behind. But Rav Kook comes along to say actually that everything inside of us was created for a reason. Every shemetz, every piece of sort of this, every scrap and drop of emotion and complexity that we have was there, but it's all supposed to act in balance and in harmony with one another. And we've gotten so out of balance that we just keep on face planting, and it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to watch what's almost, no matter what the results, it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to look at the bruises and the wounds and the breaks and the shevers and the burns. Those of us who are parents, and your kid has come home and they've got some kind of a massive black and blue mark from something where they have tripped and fallen. And for us to feel like so much of our social body is fractured and in pain, how did we get so out of whack? How are we taken so far off balance? How do we find it again? Why is it so hard for us to see the kindness? Rabbi Mira, what you said, it's just like the holy impatience of it, the holy reasonableness of it. Where? Why? Why must we suffer without it? Why do we need to be pulled in two directions, ripping ourselves asunder? I have a lot of questions. I was Chazan Basi and I were in our chavrusa as we were preparing for Shabbat, and one of the things that came up was this scrap of a poem by Shlomo ibn Gabiro about the morning and the evening. Shachar avakeshcha, in the morning I seek you. And the only thing I can say in this moment, being so full to my extremities of that why, is the only thing that I can go to is this one line of the poem. Hinei lecha titav zimrat enosh. No matter how complicated it gets, when people sing, you love it. Al kein odeh lecha, be'od nishmat elo habi. So as long as breath is left in me, I will sing in gratitude. So from this rabbi who's a wire and a crier, in this moment, I just want to ask us to sing again, if we can. Chazan Basi, I hate to put you on the spot.
Shachar vakeshcha or Ya'aleh? The dawn awakes, or
I vote Shachar vakeshcha.
Shachar vakeshcha turi umiskabi eroch lefanecha shachri vegamar bi Shachar vakeshcha turi umiskabi eroch lefanecha shachri vegamar bi lifnei gedulatcha emod ve'ebael ki encha Shachar shachar avakeshcha turi umiskabi eroch lefanecha shachri vegamar bi.
Rabbi Mira, a prayer for healing, if you would. Honor us.
This prayer was crafted on the heels of just a lot of terrible suffering. Pittsburgh, Poway. And this was a cry for many voices in one prayer. So let this be our prayer for healing tonight. The individuals who are ailing, we enfold you into this prayer. Many voices, one prayer. Listen, America. Out of many voices, we rise as one. We mourn with one voice those lost. We grieve the white nationalism that threatens us all. We, the people of many hearts, many faiths, Emunah all, shall join together with prayer anchored to action and linked to the hope of a country rising out of the many to become one. We have been created so that we may know one another. Let us be healers of the wound that history has formed. Let us be healers. Let us be truth tellers of our nation's transgressions. Let us be healers of the wound our present is forming, truth tellers of unholy alliance, of hate and power married to pain and alienation. Let us be healers of the wound our future cannot afford, truth tellers of tragedy, but never prophets of despair. Let us be healers. We who pray, let us be healers. We who kneel, let us be healers. We who bow, let us be healers. We who dance, let us be healers. And by the source of life, we rise as one. In this community, we rise as one to remember those who are no longer walking on the earth with us. We rise as one remembering how we have been shaped, how we have been breathed into, how we have been formed and reformed by the way they have walked on this earth. I request that the names of our loved ones be shared. I say Harriet Blum, she will not be forgotten. Devorah Stoll, she will not be forgotten. Solomon Marenberg, he will not be forgotten. Let us please share the names for our mourners Kaddish. Rabbi Dr. Henry Dicker, he will not be forgotten. Benjamin Wolf Telushkin, Zechronah Lebracha, will not be forgotten. Not Barry Grushkin, not Charlie Dixon, not Daisy Menkes Klein, not Arthur Adler, not Seymour Brodsky, not Susan Woloshewensky, not Evelyn Goodman. You will not be forgotten. If you're able to rise, please rise with us for our mourners Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Belma divrachirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon, וחי יחון ובימי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. Belma divrachirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. Belma divrachirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. Belma divrachirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. Bagala Bisman Karib Be'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olalmei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yithalal Shmei de Kudisha
Brichu.
Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma Be'imru
Amen.
Yehi Shlam Rabba Min Shmaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Be'imru
Amen.
Oseh Shalom B'mromav Ubrachamav Ya'aseh Shalom. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Be'imru.
Amen.
Tenachamu min hashamayim. May you find comfort in the heavens.
Yai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai nai nai. When we went out from Egypt, it says that it was a Leil Shimurin, a night of watchfulness. From the word shamor, to observe, to watch, to keep. This is also a Leil Shimurim in a very different way. Even as we sleep, there will be a part of our hearts that's awake. And some of us will get up at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m. Kumi roni v'layla. Get up, stir in the middle of the night. Not knowing where to go, what to do, or even maybe who to be in this space in between. A space in between one possible world and another. Since we can't be together in person, in this case actually, because we're not in person, we can do something that we're not able to do in other places, at other times. That aron, that ark that you see in front of you, that has a Torah inside of it, will be waiting for you all night long in this Leil Shimurim, in this night of watchfulness. This link will be on. The camera will be on. God's on Zoom all night long tonight. And so when you get up, if you get up in the middle of the night, and you're astir, be stirred. Your brains are stirred. Come find the peace of the Torah. Darchea darchei noam. Her ways are gentle ways. V'chol nativotei shalom, and all of her paths are peace. Being alone with her, you'll know peace. I also want to point out that when it's time to get up, lakum kari, to get up like lions tomorrow morning, to fight the good fight, Rabbi Rivera will be leading us in it at 8:30 a.m. with davening. 7:30 a.m. Right, 7:30 a.m. Sorry, there's a little bit of Aliza in the chat, so it says 8:30 a.m., but 7:30 a.m. And then at 8:30, Rabbi Ingber will be on. More to come, of course, as we know more. Please also look at the in-person, socially distanced interfaith gathering tomorrow night on the Upper West Side. Thank you for this slide.
We will not be inside St. Paul and St. Andrews. We will be outside. So we will be nicely distanced. We begin at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and teachers and rabbis, pastors, reverends from the neighborhood will be there.
So we want to wish you,
mask.
we want to wish you Tzidchem LaShalom, that you go in peace, but most importantly, because the way that the verse is written, Boachem LaShalom, come back to us in peace, to find peace together. Thank you for spending this Leil Shumarim with us. Good night, everyone.
Lai 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 la to.